In this video, I'd like to look at an Android Studio program and that uses Compose, and it's just going to be a simple restaurant calculator, a place for the user to enter the amount of the bill, a tip percentage, and then it will calculate the tip and the total. So here, let's say $50 and 20% tip. And then the tip was 20% of 50 is $10, and then the total would be 60. And then if we are changing the tip amount, it's clearing the tip. And then they can recalculate, or if they change the bill amount. And then I also have it connected to the number keypad, but the user can still have some problems of them entering not a proper number. Say, if I were to put in 50 and 2 dots, well, then I'm getting this little toast down here that says, please enter number of the bill. So I've got a little try catch. So if the number that the user entered can't be cast as a double, I'm sort of not accepting it as the value, toasting up a message, and sort of just keeping what I had before. Okay, so here we go. All right, so some preliminaries. I am working in a version of Flamingo. I'm in a computer lab and I don't have the permissions to update. So I can't move on to Giraffe, and can't even necessarily have the best version of Flamingo. And so I ended up here. I wanted to use I think the outlined text field. And without it being this sort of like experimental, it was asking me to sort of say it's experimental, which I didn't want to do, but the other way around that was to do this change in the module. So it was in the build Gradle module, and I don't want the two of them. I should just have the one. So originally it just came up with when I sort of made my sort of hello world and the Compose version of hello world, it had material 3, and if I'd swap that out for this one, then it's not yelling at me about this sort of, more experimental version of things. Okay. And resync. Okay. So I made a change. So now, of course, I'm forced into a resync. And so that's one thing that was unusual. And then I am using this, I'm setting some state variables. And so usually I don't type in the imports. I'll just let it sort of come up with what it wants to come up with. But I was working with a style where I'm using this by var bill by remember, and doing that it was giving me a problem until I switched runtime. I think it was a runtime.remember, and I just swapped it out for a runtime.star. And I did it in a previous video where I gave credit to the person who I learned it from, and I forgot to give credit to them here, and I forgot their name as well. But, okay. So is my syncing done? I believe it is. Okay. So again, so this was the one odd thing in import for me, and everything else was just sort of an alt-enter. And I had swapped the Gradle because of where I think it's because of where I'm at in Flamenco. And okay, so now we're finally ready to go, and I set up this sort of hello world style program and went from there. So I am in set content, but before the theme. And I am setting some variables, some sort of state variables that I'm going to use. So I'm going to have a bill, a percentage, a tip, and a total. And that's sort of the things on my page that are going to change. So the bill amount might change to 50, and so 2 of them change based on what the user types, and 2 of them change based on the sort of doing the calculation. All right, but these are my state variables. These are the things I want to remember. I'm using the sort of by approach, which saves me sort of like a casting, but required this one change in this sort of standard imports. Okay, and then if they do something on the numerical keypad that is still not numerical, like 2 decimal places in a row, that's not a proper number. Then I want to have a toast, and a toast needs a context, and this just, sort of a simple, this did not work for the context. So I'm using this LocalContext.current to find the context I'm going to use in a toast. Okay. This was supplied when I made the sort of hello world. This was my name of it. Compose underscore rest calc was the name of my project, and then it adds the word theme, and that is defined over here in the UI. It's doing this defining. Okay, I haven't touched this. I just, whatever style they had, I accepted. Okay, so this came automatically. The surface came automatically. I added here, when you're adding to the modifier, you sort of chain these things, and I didn't like everything sort of cramped up, so I gave myself 16 dp of padding. Okay, I have a column, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, so I'm going to be working with 5 rows in a column. So I had a column, and then here's my row. My first row is an outlined text field. Okay, so I'm saying that it's the value that's in the text field. So what I want to see in the text field is the bill cast to a string. So my bill up here, when I gave it a value, I said 0.0, so then it's going to know then it's a double. But it wants what's written, the value of the text field, what's written in the text field, it wants to be a string, so I must cast as a string, so bill to string. Then what do I want to do if the user were to change what's in the text field? So I set up this little function here to handle the changing of the value. And again, they could use the 2 dots. So if they give me a proper, if what's written by the user in the text box, if it's a proper number that can be cast as a double, then I make it the bill. That's the main thing I want to do. If what they typed is sort of not acceptable, then I'm toasting out, please enter a number. We saw that here. You won't see it, but if I'm typing 2 dots, it gives me this little toast down here to enter a number. And I'm also, if I have done some previous calculation and now I'm changing the data, I am setting the tip and the total variables to a bunch of dashed lines to sort of clear out any previous calculation. If I'm changing the data, I should change the calculation. Here is where I'm controlling the keyboard to say that this is that you should bring up a keyboard of the decimal type. So when they're in there, they have the numerical keypad with the period, so they can enter a decimal number. And then I give a little padding for I had a little padding, which was sort of some internal padding, and this one's a little bit more, and then external padding, sort of more of a margin, and that meant that this bill amount was not smack up against the top. Here's my next row. It's the same, except they're entering the percentage. So I'm taking my percent variable, casting as a string, making it the value of what's written in the text box. When they change it, if it's good, I'm going to make it the percent. Otherwise, I'm going to toast, and I'm going to clear out my tip and total. Again, I'm making it a decimal type keyboard, which is different than a number keyboard. I have a label. I don't think I said that the last time, but the label ends up to be this sort of, broken part of so it's outlined a text field, but the label sort of breaks that outline on the sort of, what is that, the upper left, and displays what the label is, and then the modifier to give myself a bit of margin. So that was my second row. My third row is my button. So here's my on click for the button. What do I want to do? I want to take my bill and my percent and divide my percent by 100 to make it, and multiply it by the bill, and cast that as a string with 2 decimal places and a $sign in front, and call that the tip, which then puts it into the box because the tip is in one of my text fields below, or I should just say text, and same thing for total, just different calculation. I'd have a modifier to give myself, this time I did top and bottom. So I said, for this bill amount, I said, give me 24 above. For the tip, I said, give me 24. For the button, I said, give me 24 above and 24 below. And then I let these two sort of just be next to each other. So that was here. The text of the button was telling it that I wanted to say calculate. That was my third row. My fourth row was 2 texts, and first one is text amount, and then the second one is the tip. And same thing for the last row, 2 texts, one just the words total, and then the other one the variable total. And so that's what we have. Okay, so I'm getting that is the $sign is here, not here. This $sign down here is telling me that I'm going to, within the string, insert a variable. So that's that $sign. And the $sign that you actually see here is in my string format. That $sign is the one you see. And then that was my 5th row. That was my 5th row. And then it's just the end of the rows and the end of the column and end of a million things in a row here. And I don't find it terribly useful. I just keep running the damn thing. So I don't do much previewing. I just run a lot as I'm sort of designing building. So that is what I wanted to show you, a restaurant calculator. Anything else I want to say? There was a time when I built this on a different computer on my laptop, and that was one change. And another change was I did not have these keyboard options in there. And somehow my laptop knew, I guess because of the type of variables that were sort of the state, that it should be a numerical keypad. Separate, again, I wasn't saying it here, it was just sort of picking it up from the type of its content. And it would, and my laptop is giraffe, and there it would kind of flicker a bit, and I think the flickering was related to the keypad. I had not gone back and to the laptop version and see if the keyboard options fixes that or not. Just a warning that I've seen versions of this flicker. It's something to do with the numerical keyboard. And I don't know if this does or does not stop it. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you on this one. Thanks for your attention.